सबसे पहले हजरत मुफक्किर इस्लाम शहजादाए गौसे आजम डॉक्टर पीर सैयद अब्दुल कादिर जिलानी शाह साहब की वीडियोस को हासिल करने के लिए जिलानी मीडिया के यूट्यूब चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन क्लिक करें। वीडियोस अच्छी लगे तो थम्स अप दें।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि वकफ़ा वसलामुन अला इबादिहिल्लज़ीना इस्तफ़ा सुब्हानल्लाह खुसूसन अला मुहम्मदिनिल मुस्तफ़ा व अला आलिहि व अस्हाबिहि उलिस्सिद्क़ि वस्सफ़ा अम्मा बअद फ़क़द क़ाल अल्लाहु तबारक व तआला जल्ल जलालुहु फिल क़ुरआनिल मजीद वल फ़ुरक़ानिल हमीद अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम इन्नमा युरीदुल्लाहु लियुज़हिबा अन्कुमुर रिज्सा अहलल बैत वयुतहिरकुम तत्हीरा। सदक़ल्लाहु मौलानल अज़ीम व बल्लगना रसूलुहुन नबियुल करीम व नहनु अला ज़ालिका मिनश शाहिदीन वश्शाकिरीन वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन। अस्सलातु वस्सलामु अलैका या रसूलल्लाह व अला आलिका व अस्हाबिका। अस्सलातु वस्सलामु अलैका या सय्यदी या रसूलल्लाह व अला आलिका व अस्हाबिका या हबीबल्लाह। My brethren in Islam, I am very thankful to you to provide me with such an opportunity which is matchless in the history. No one was given a chance to give the lecture on Imam Mehdi for 3 times consecutively. It is only me in the history that I was asked to explain the history, the dignity, the attributes, the characteristics of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Such a vast material is normally not found in the books. It is a matter of great research, but I think I am a very lucky person to have such a chance. You must come across many Muslim scholars, but you never experienced such consecutive speeches on the history of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And I would like not to repeat the previous references which I cited here to establish the facts. Today I am going to open a new chapter about Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Quran says, وَمَنْ أَظْلَمُ مِمَّنْ مَنَعَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ أَنْ يُذْكَرَ فِيهِ اسْمُهُ وَسَعَى فِي خَرَابِهَا. Who is the most cruel person than the person who prevents the people mentioning name of Allah in the mosques? So this verse refers to the character of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti Rahmatullah Alayh writes in his book Al-Hawi Lil-Fatawa, and there is a special chapter dealing with Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Should I believe that you are understanding me what I say? Yes. Sometimes my friends make a complaint against me that I am very fast for them to understand. Sometimes they say that my vocabulary is not normally understandable. Sometimes they say that the grammatical vicissitudes are not understandable for them, but I am trying utmostly to make you understand what I say. If I am successful in understanding you, then I should continue my procedure. Otherwise, I can facilitate my statement more and more, because there can be classes about the facilities. Do you understand what I say?
Yes.
Huh? I think there will be no difficulty, because responsive attitude on your faces. Here Quran refers to the characteristic of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. The people preventing the people mentioning the name of Allah in the mosque are Romans. When they attacked Bait al-Maqdis Sharif, they prevented the Jews mentioning the name of Allah inside of Bait al-Maqdis Sharif. Allah says that those people are the most cruel person, very tyrannizing. They tyrannized the Jews because they prevented them mentioning the name of Allah inside of Bait al-Maqdis Sharif, Dome of Rock. But Quran says this independence would be achieved, this freedom would be attained by Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman when he will conquer the Constantinople. Constantinia is called Constantinople in English, because the Constantine first was the founder of that place. After his name, it was named as Constantinople. So Constantinople would be toppled by Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, and then the freedom would be achieved by means of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, because he is son of the person whom Allah says, Innama anta bimuzakkir. O my holy Prophet, only you are the person to make the people make zikrullah. So this quality was inherited by Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, and he was authorized to make the people to mention Allah inside of Bait al-Maqdis. Means this freedom would be achieved by means of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. So it means that this verse would be commented on its exegesis. Exegesis means the commentary of any divine book. That is called exegesis, not commentary. Commentary is hockey. Any opinion made on the hockey or football, that is called commentary. But the commentary or explanation made on the Holy Quran or the Gospel or the Pentateuch or the other divine books is called exegesis. So exegesis of this verse waits for the arrival of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Means this verse would be interpreted, would be elucidated, would be explained when Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman comes down and do the work which was allocated to him. It means that the family of the Holy Prophet cannot be eliminated from the text of the Holy Quran or the exegesis of the Holy Quran.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Here, I would like to make certain more references to establish the dignity of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Here, Imam Jalaluddin Suyuti refers to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal is the last and final teacher of Imam Bukhari. Even 1,000 of Imam Bukhari cannot be equalized with Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He is Imam of Syed Abdul Qadir Jilani, the distributor of the piety among all of the pious people. Pious people mean awliya Allah. He is a distributor of the piety among all of the pious people. And he is follower of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He was the person who was penalized, who was whipped to death because he was not believing in the creation of the Holy Quran, because the Holy Quran was attribute of Allah. Attributes are always concerning with the entity. When the entity is permanent, not contingent. Contingent means hadis. When the entity is not contingent, the attributes are also permanent, they are not contingent. Since the Holy Quran is attribute of Allah Rabbul Izzat, therefore this is with the same quality as Allah Rabbul Izzat is with. Allah is permanent, everlasting, perpetual, permanent, never ending. Similarly, the Quran is permanent, perpetual, or lasting forever. On this very point, he was whipped to death. Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayh was also present in Baghdad Sharif when he was being whipped, but he did not say that I am his disciple. I have the same ideology. This is why the people are follower of Hazrat Imam Ahmad Hanbal, but they are not follower of Imam Bukhari.
Subhanallah. Narae Takbir. Narae Risalat. Narae Hadri.
The best liturgical activity, the best worshipping of Allah is the hardest at the time. The hardest liturgical activity, the most acceptable is with Allah. Since Hazrat Imam Ahmad Hanbal faced and confronted the hardest situation, therefore he was the best person of the time. This is why Hazrat Syed Abdul Qadir Jilani Rahmatullah alayh followed Hazrat Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal and did not follow Imam Bukhari.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
And the second name is Ibn Abi Shayba. Ibn Abi Shayba is an author of prophetic tradition. His collection is containing 16 volumes, which is called Musannaf Ibn Abi Shayba. That book is available with me. The real sources, the original sources are also available with me. At the time of necessity can be contacted. And the third one is Ibn Majah. This is one of the canonical books. The common traditional books are called traditional books, which were accepted as a central and permanent books, accepted as a syllabus by the Islamic government. At many times they can be called canonical books. They were canonized at the time of Abbasids, though the canonization by the Abbasid is not a sign of truthfulness, but afterwards the Muslim scholars accepted it as a genuine collection and embodiment of the tradition of the prophetic tradition. Therefore, we accept it as a genuine book. And this is one of those books. Ibn Majah, wa Naim bin Hammad, Fil Fitan an Ali radiyallahu anhu. This tradition starts from the report of Janab Haydar Karrar, Sher Khuda radiyallahu anhu. Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Mahdiyyo minna ahlil bayt yusliquhu Allah ta'ala fi laylatin. When a person believes that the last and final reformer of the Muslim community in the universe would be Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, one begins to think that his education must be the supreme education, very noble education. He must spend the total life in the research, in the Quranic studies, in the prophetic tradition studies, in the Islamic normative sciences. Do you know Islamic normative sciences? Islamic normative sciences are those sciences which are applied on the Quran, on the text of the Holy Quran and the prophetic tradition to derive the law. They are called Islamic normative sciences. The more you know the Islamic normative sciences, the greater scholar you are. Even the Hafiz of Quran, even the Hafiz of Hadith cannot be included in the scholars unless he knows the Islamic normative sciences. For instance, the morphology, which is called sarf. Unless you know properly, you cannot analyze the building of word. For instance, syntax, now, means composing of different type of words in an expression just to make an idea. Then those ideas are expressed in front of someone. Here you will have to know the eloquence, ilm balagh, means to bring the expression according to the demand of the person. When a person is vacant-minded, you are just to submit the report. When he is refuser, you will have to prefix any emphasis. Taqeed awwal mein lagana. You will have to prefix the emphasis just to establish the fact in front of him. And if he is obstinate, stubborn, Ziddi, if he is stubborn, obstinate, obdurate, then you'll have to attach to prefix many emphasis just to establish the fact. And if he is not in position to understand you, you will have to change the expression just to explain the same meaning. That is called oratory. Oratory, rhetoric, eloquence, morphology, syntax, these are the linguistic sciences. These are the linguistic sciences to establish the fact. Unless one knows properly, he cannot observe, he cannot elucidate the text of the Holy Quran or the prophetic tradition. Here one has to know that Hazrat Ali Shaykh Khuda radiyallahu anhu says, Al-Mahdiyo minna ahlil bayt. Or yuslikuhullahu ta'ala fi laylatin. When a man begins to think that he would reform the highly qualified people, the lawyers, the barristers, the doctors, the scientists, the scholars, the linguistic scholars, the eloquential scholars, the syntactical scholars. So he should be more superior to everybody. So there is no background of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman mentioned in the books where he would be one and who would be the initiative teacher and who would be the teacher to educate him the text of the Holy Quran, the prophetic tradition. Here Hazrat Maula Murtaza answers the questions. Yuslikuhullahu ta'ala fi laylatin. Allah Rabbul Izzat will complete him in one night. Just like Nabi Kareem ﷺ wanted to send Hazrat Haidar Karrar Sher Khuda radiyallahu anhu as a judge, as a governor, as an area commander. Nowadays, area commander is concerning with a different department and judge concerns with a different compartment and the other scholars concerned with the different departments. In those days, this separation of power, this question was not raised. In those days, these three institutes were collectively working. The same person was judge, the same person was area commander, the same person was governor. All these things used to be executed, maintained and managed by only one person. And Hazrat Ali Shaykh Khuda radiyallahu was supposed to execute all of the duties. In Yemen, he said, La adri mal qada wa ya Rasulullah sallallahu Oh Nabi Kareem alayhi salam, I don't know how to decide between two parties, complainant and accused. And I don't know how to deal with them. Then Nabi Kareem alayhi salam put his right hand on my heart. He says, Ma shakaktu ba'daha fil qada. In all of the coming life, I never suspected in any matter, whatever I decided was never appealed against. Mr. Blackstone says that no judge was found in the world whose decision was not challenged except that of Ali. Any decision achieved by Hazrat Haidar Karrar was never impugned, was never reversed, was never appealed against. He was the first person. Hazrat Haidar Karrar tries to make us understand that the person who completed me in one touch, the same person will complete him in one night, and he would be teacher to everybody existing in the world. Yuslikuhullahu fi laylatin wahida. And this tradition was mentioned in Musannaf Ibn Abi Shayba, Musnad Imam Ahmad Hanbal, and Ibn Majah. These three books are highly reliable books. Here we shall try to understand the meaning of Hazrat Haidar Karrar Sher Khuda radiyallahu anhu. He said that when he would be the last and final reformer, revivalist, he should be the more competent person than everybody in the world, because the total infidelity could not be abolished from the world even in the time of any prophet, from Adam to Muhammad Mustafa. And then Hazrat Siddiq Akbar, he was not in position to abolish, to banish all of the infidelity, all of the paganism, all of the idolatry. Nothing could be done against it. Then Farooq Azam, then Usman Ghani, then Hyder Qarar, then Hazrat Imam Hassan, all of the five righteous caliphs could not do it. But he would be able to abolish all of the totality of infidelity, totality of paganism, totality of idolatry. So he should be more competent person in the world. So this is not a matter of blasphemy, or insolence, or disrespect. This is not disrespect. This is distribution of Allah. Wallahu yakhtassu bi rahmatihi man yasha. This is a policy matter which cannot be interfered. Hazrat Maula Murtaza says that this is not a strives, endeavors, efforts, struggles of one's own, of a person, but this is man's gift, only gift of Allah. When the first gift was made, did Adam do anything to deserve for the caliphate of Allah? Before his creation, it was announced that he was going to be promoted as a caliph without his previous character. It means that sometimes gift of Allah does not wait for personal capacity, personal efficiency, personal deservation or eligibility, but Allah gives the gift without deservation, without previous background. As Allah gave Hazrat Adam alayhi salatu wasalam the dignity of caliphate, the same Allah will give to Hazrat Imam Mehdi the supremacy to all of the ummah of Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. Here, and other thing is to be explained. Here Imam Jalal Suyuti says, Ya Mahdiyo, Atini fayuksi fi sobehi mastata an yahmalahu. From Adam up to now, there was no ruler who can ask go in the tier of government and take whatever you like, whatever you can. This would be only one person whose name is Imam Mehdi, who will ask everybody to go inside of the tier and take how much you like, any much you like, any way you like. When a person would not be able to take anything more, then he would be satisfied and go back. This is speciality of offspring of Sayyida Fatima, who are very generous in the world by their nature. He is Imam Mehdi Akhir al-Zaman. Here, Imam Jalal says that Inna al baytin akhtar Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lana al-akhirah ala dunya wa anna al bayti sayalqawna badi bala'an wa tashridan wa tathridan hatta yat yaqawna min al al-mashriq ma'ahum rayatun sudun wa yas'aluna al-haqqa fala yutawnahu fayuqatiluna fayunsaruna fayutawna ma sa'aluhu fala yaqbaluna hatta yadfa'uha ila rajulin min al bayti fayamla'uha qistan kama mala'uha jawran faman adraka zalika minkum falyatihim falau habban ala sarj fa innahu al-madi. Many persons are very fond of controversy. Munazara is called controversy, and they like to be called controversial persons. But when they are asked to recite any passage of the Holy Quran or prophetic traditions or any other Arabic book, they begin to hesitate. There is a very big clash between their ambitions and their practice. Here, look, Hazrat Hyder Qarar Sher Khuda radiyallahu ta'ala says, Hazrat Abdullah Masud says, Bainama nahnu inda Rasulillah, when we were sitting around Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam, is aqbala fityatun min Bani Hashim. All of a sudden, there was a group of the offspring of Hashim, means the family of the Prophet. فَلَمَّا رَآهُمُ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, when Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam happened to see them, إِغْرَوْرَقَتْ عَيْنَاهُ, his eyes began to overflow with the tears. وَتَغَيَّرَ لَوْنُهُ, he turned pale. فَقُلْتُ, Ma nazalu narafi wajhaka shay'an takrahu. O my holy Prophet, we are continuously looking at you. You are thinking something highly contemptible. You look to be very sad. Why? فقال إنا أهل بيت اختار الله لنا الآخرة. We, the family of the Prophet, Nabi Kareem alayhi salam includes himself in the family of the Prophet. Inna ahla baitin. We. This is a positive. Badal mubdal mein upar ki gayi. Inna ahla baitin. Inna ahla baitin. Badle ishtimal. Badal ki चार किस्में हैं. Complete appositive, partial impositive, and content appositive, and wrong appositive. Badle kul, badle baaz, badle ishtimal, badle galat. These are found in English, but this is not found in street language or factory language. This is academic language. Inna ala baitin akhtar Allah lana al-akhirah. We are the family of the Holy Prophet. Allah Rabbul Izzat has given us a choice between this world and the next world. And we preferred the next world. Wa inna ala baiti. Now he tries to explain the reason of overflowing of his eye with the tears. He says, Wa inna ala baiti sayalqawna badi bala'an wa tashridan wa tadridan. Very soon after me, my family would be compelled to leave their residences. They would be expelled from their houses. They would be banished. They would be expelled from the country. They would be banished. I mean, look, the Nabi Kareem was seeing everything before the happening. Nabi Kareem was so much so that there would be a community with the black flags. They would come from the east, where Wahhabi came from. Look. That place was a nursery for the opposition of the Prophet. But this is the decision of Allah, that from the same place who were fixed for the enmity of the Holy Prophet, that would be chosen for the friendship of Muhammad Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. A community would come with black flags, and what they do? فَيَسْأَلُونَ الْحَقَّ. They will come and they would involve in the fighting against the chief of the state. Or فَيَسْأَلُونَ الْحَقَّ. They would ask their rights, their opportunities, their privileges. فَلَا يُؤْتَوْنَهُ. But those rights would not be granted to them. Or فَيُقَاتِلُونَ فَيَنْصُرُ. Then they begin to fight. And they would subjugate the chief of the state. فَيُؤْتَوْنَ مَا سَأَلُوهُ. So their rights would be granted to them, but they would not accept. And what would they do? يَدْفَعُوهَا إِلَىٰ رَجُلٍ مِّنْ آلِ بَيْتِي. They would ask the government, please give all these rights to my chief, who is a member of the family of the Prophet, whose name is Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Here, Nabi Kareem alayhi salam wanted to make us understand that he would be educated in one night, and his army would be mobilized from the enemies, and in one night there would be a revolution, and all of the infidelity would be toppled. فَيَمْلَأُهَا كِسْتًا كَمَا مَلَأُوهَا جَوْرًا. And he would fill up the world with justice, with equity of rights, with the equality of the opportunities, and he would entertain all of the humanity very nicely, properly, with the style of the Prophet, and all of the people would be very happy. فَمَنْ أَدْرَكَ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ فَلْيَأْتِهِمْ. Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam emphasizes, he advises, he says, whosoever is present and alive in the world, his duty is to participate in the work of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. It means that Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman is not an excursion. That is compulsory. That is from Zururiyat-e-Deen. Now I am going to quote the tradition which necessitates the belief in Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Means unless a person knows and believes in the authenticity of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, his Islam and Iman would not be recognized on the Judgment Day, and he would not be granted the rights of Muslims. Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman is not just an excursion. No, that is very compulsory to be believed in. Here, Hazrat Abdullah bin Masud says that وَلَوْ حَبًّا عَلَى السَّلْجِ, even if one has to crawl on the snow, even then I shall ask him to go and participate in the work of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Means even the disabled persons are duty bound to participate. When in the time of Muhammad Mustafa ﷺ, they were not duty bound. The disabled person was not bound to participate in the holy war because they are disabled, they are too old. The women were not it was not compulsory for them to participate in the holy war of the Holy Prophet. Why? Because he was in position to split the moon into two pieces. He was in position to take back the sun after setting. But Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman would not be a prophet. He would be an imam. Therefore, he is more deserving person to be spotted. Here, Salama radiyallahu ta'ala says, this tradition was reported by Hazrat Imam Bazzaz when it was reported by Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala. Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala is a companion of the Holy Prophet. When Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu migrated from Mecca to Medina, he was 14 years old. And in those days, there was no restriction of veil observation. Therefore, he was allowed to come inside in the portion of the women of the Holy Prophet, who were the mothers of believers. But in 5th year of migration, the parda was obliged and necessitated by the Quranic text. Unless the prohibition about parda was attempted by the Holy Quran, he was completely authorized to go inside. And he spent 10 years in the service of the Holy Prophet. And he says that Nabi Kareem ﷺ never snubbed me, never told me off on any matter I neglected. And when I did something, Nabi Kareem ﷺ even then never told me off. It doesn't mean that he was doing wrong, but Nabi Kareem ﷺ was not taking any action against him. But this is the meaning that the concentration of the attention of the Holy Prophet had changed him according to the pleasure of Muhammad Mustafa ﷺ. So much so that he became the representative of pleasure of Muhammad Mustafa ﷺ. He was working like a machine. He was machine of pleasure of Muhammad Mustafa. He is Anas radiyallahu anhu. He says that Hazrat Sayyida Salama radiyallahu anha kana anna Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam kana naiman fi bayti Salama fantabaha wa huwa yastarji'u. Nabi Kareem ﷺ was asleep in the house of Hazrat Sayyida Salama. All of a sudden, Nabi Kareem ﷺ woke up. And wa huwa yastarji'u. Istarja'a yastarji'u istirja'an. This is called Qasr Sarfi. One is Qasr Balaghi, one is Qasr Navi. This is Qasr Sarfi. La ilaha illallah was changed in Tahleel. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen was changed in Tahmeed. Similarly, Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilayhi Raji'un was changed into Istarja'. Istarja'a yastarji'u istirja'an. This is called Qasr of Sarfi. Many persons are very fond to come in front of me to launch a controversy with me, but when they listen to the lecture, so all of their lust and their ambitions are extinguished. Yesterday, Nabi Kareem ﷺ began to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. So, the usage of this expression is on the time of any calamity, any mishappening, any accident. But there was no accident. What was the reason of explanation of this one? Hazrat Sayyida Aisha, Hazrat Sayyida Umm says, Ya Rasulullah, mimman tastarji'u. Why are you saying Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un? قال من قبل الجيش يجيء من قبل العراق في طلب رجل من آل المدينة يمنعه الله سبحانه وتعالى منهم فإذا علوا البيداء من ذي الحليفة خسف بهم فلا يدرك آلاهم أسفلهم ولا يدرك أسفلهم آلاهم إلى يوم القيامة. I began to say Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un because my family would be residing in Medina Tayyibah. Since the place of birth of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman is Medina Tayyibah. He would be born in Medina Tayyibah. Therefore, he would be resident of Medina Tayyibah. And I have already explained his name, his patronage, his paternity, his maternity, his lineage, and background of his family. Therefore, I am not going to repeat it again. But here you must know that he was the resident of Medina Tayyibah. Nabi Kareem says that an army would come and they would try to find out a person. They would come to find out Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman just to kill him. But Allah, yamna'uhu Allahu minhum, Allah Rabbul Izzat will prevent them, would be debarred. Faiza alawal bayda min zil hulayfa. Bayda means any field. And other tradition I have already explained in front of you, but that is concerning with Bayda of Mecca. This Bayda in Medina, nearby Zul Hulayfa, where you wear the shroud for pilgrimage, ihram. So Khusifa bihim, they would be sunk down in the earth. Fala yudur alahum asfalahum. The first person of them would not be able to know the last person. The last person would not be able to know the first person up to the judgment day. So this is not a matter of worldly power or physical power. He would be supported by Allah. When Allah is supporting, no one can debar. His army would be mobilized in east, where the Wahhabi was grown up, and he would be educated in one night, and similarly, the army would come there to defeat him, but they would be sunk down in the ground. So these are the sign of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Now we are in position to ask Mirza Qadiani, have you experienced anything of it? Is there any example of your life that somebody came to you and he was sunk down in the ground? And here Imam Jadul Sisi says that Hazrat Nabi Kareem said, no one would be accepted as a Muslim on the judgment day unless he knows the lineage of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman and his personality, his qualification, his definition. It means that the knowledge of Ahl Bayt Rasul Sallallahu is a component part of belief. Unless a person is fully qualified with this qualification, his belief would not be accepted. Otherwise, you are trying to do the prayer. You may do. I am not ready to prevent you, but I shall make you understand that the belief without the affiliation with Ahl Bayt Rasul would not be accepted. Here, I would like to tell you the cause of nomination. I was in a hurry. I thought that it was very near to 10. When Hazrat Isa comes down on the ground, here the status of Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman can be checked, can be realized. He says, Akhraja Abu Nu'aym an Jabirin radiyallahu anhu qala Rasulullah yanzul Isa ibn Maryam fayaqulu amiruhum al-Mahdi ta'al salli bina. When Jesus comes on the ground Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman will request him to lead them in the prayer because he is a prophet, and whatever the position may be, but he is an Imam, he cannot be equalized with the prophet. But what would the answer on behalf of Hazrat Jesus? Asalli bina, and please lead us in the prayer. For yaqulu ala wa inna ba'dakum ala ba'd umara takrimat Allah ila hadhihi al ummah. How do you remember? Do you know? Allah means, do you know? Khabardar, do you know? Be alert. Bear in mind. Inna ba'dakum ala ba'd umara. Some of you are leader, some of you. I am not your leader. Takrimat Allah ila hadhihi al ummah. So this is speciality of this ummah which was granted by Allah Rabbul Izzat. I cannot interfere. Though I am prophet, but I will have to follow you. Because you belong to the family of the Holy Prophet. When a prophet is proud to follow the family member of the Holy Prophet, who is Maulana? Who is other scholar? Who is other Pir? Who is other mystic? When Jesus says, I am not in position to stand in front of you, it is your exclusive right to lead the people in the prayer. So this chapter is to be followed and to be practiced, to be copied by the Muslims. Oh, Nabi Kareem alayhi salatu wasalam tells us that the personalities are a protective covering for the solemnity, integrity and solidarity of the community. He says, أخرج أبو نعيم عن ابن عباس رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قال رسول الله لن تهلك أمة أنا أولها. That community will never be disastered, will never be ruined. أميرهم أولها أنا أولها. I am in front of them, in the beginning of them. And me, this is not called I. When any predicate, any personal pronoun occurs as predicate of the sentence, this is always in the case of objective case. And Jesus, وَآخِرُهَا وَالْمَاضِي فِي وَسْطِهَا. I am in the first, and Jesus is in the last, and Imam Mehdi is in the middle. That community will never be ruined. Means Allah is Allah. Allah is always Allah. Allah is Allah for everyone. But on account of these three personalities, I am in front of this ummah. Imam Mehdi is in the last of in the middle of this ummah. Jesus is in the last of ummah. Therefore, this community would be protected by Allah by means of our personality. It means that sometimes by virtue of certain sacred personalities, communities are saved and protected against the calamities.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah.
Do you understand my language? For most of the time I experienced people make a complaint that your language is very hard, very difficult. You mostly use the jargon words, the terminological words which are not understandable for us. So really, therefore I began to hesitate. Otherwise, when I talk to my friends, I talk very fluently. But when I am in the meeting and I think that these words would not be understandable for my audience, then I begin to hesitate. So this reluctance on account of this presumption. Means this community would never be disaster because I am in front of them, Jesus is in the last of them, and Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman in the front of them. But Nabi Kareem alayhi salam himself is from the family. Imam Mehdi is also from the family. Only Jesus is from the Israelites. It means that 2/3 of the total community would be saved only by blood of the Holy Prophet.
Subhanallah, 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 Subhanallah.
Even the time of appearance was also mentioned here. إذا نزل عيسى عليه السلام ابن مريم الصبح فرجع ذلك الإمام ينقص يمشي الكعكري ليتقدم عيسى فيدع عيسى يده بين كتفيه ثم يقول له تقدم فصلي فإنها لك أقيمت فيصلي بهم إمامهم. It would be the time of morning when Jesus come down from the sky, and that would be Baitul Maqdis. Now Mirza ji claims that he is also Imam Mehdi. You never have been there. What is the reason for you to be called Imam Mehdi? Imam Mehdi is son of Mary, and your mother's name is Chirag Bibi Urf Gasiti. It was publicized in the posters, in the newspapers in Rawalpindi in 1953. But there was no answer on behalf of Mirza, and that record is with me. His mother's nickname was Kasiti. Her original name was Chirag Bibi. But the son of Chirag Bibi cannot be called Jesus. Only that person is recordable by the Holy Quran as Jesus, whose mother's name is Hazrat Sayyida Maryam. So it would be the morning, and the son of Mary would come down. And then Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman, as I have already told you, would suggest to lead the prayer, but he would refuse, and he would prefer to follow Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. He says, this is not my disgrace, because you belong to the family of the Holy Prophet. Therefore, I am very proud of having followed this person who is from the blood of the Holy Prophet. The page number 75. Here, 75 and 81. On these two pages, Hazrat Imam Jalal Suyuti explains the cause of nomination of Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Cause of nomination, Wajh Tasmiyah. Here he explains the cause of nomination. Why Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman was named as Mehdi when his name was Muhammad, his father's name was Abdullah, his mother's name was Amina. So what is the reason for him to be named as Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman? Here, Ahl Sunnat wal Jama'ah, you are very lucky people. Because when all of the old records and archives are sieved and they are researched and they are explored, the oldest material approves your authenticity. You are in the right. Here, you believe that when there is a difficulty which cannot be solved and you are in the trouble and there is no remedy available with you, you should take any relic. Relic means tabarruk. You should take any relic, like turban of your sheikh, like shoes of your parents, like shirt of your Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You should keep it with you, and you will conquer. You will subjugate your enemy, and you will prevail your enemies. And all of the purposes which are impossible for you to avail or to obtain would be achieved by you, inshallah, by means of those relics. Here, the cause of nomination of Imam Mehdi shows that this belief maintained by Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is properly authenticated on the record. Here, Ankab. قال مهدي يبص بقتال الرومي يوثى معه أشرة يستخرج تابوت سكينة من غار أنطاكية. Why he is called Mehdi? Mehdi means who was granted the proper guidance, who was provided with the proper guidance, who was availed with the proper guidance. That person is called Mehdi, Hadayat Yafta. Means he was provided with the proper guidance. What is the proper guidance he was provided with? That is Tabut Sakina. Do you know Tabut Sakina? وقال لهم نبيهم من آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم فيه سكينة من ربكم Let me read first, because you are causing confusion to me. وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة من ربكم وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. All is being tried to be eliminated from all of the texts, but it is not possible for anyone to eliminate or to evacuate it, the family of any prophet from the lineage of the prophets. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah maintains the record when there was scarcity of water, when there was famine, when there was famine, there was no sign of any water. The Bani Israel used to take the family of the Prophet with them for the prayer of istisqa. And this was maintained by Imam Bukhari rahmatullah himself, that when Farooq Azam radiyallahu anhu was caliph of the Muslims, the companion and successor of the companions, successor means tabi'in, successor of the companions came to Hazrat Farooq Azam radiyallahu anhu and requested him to ask favor for them for the rain. He said, please go and bring anyone, any member of the family of the Prophet to ask the favor. Here, firstly, this fact is established that Hazrat Farooq Azam radiyallahu anhu certified those people who came to him for asking the favor. Means at the time of necessity, one can contact any pious person to ask the favor. So, this ideology is authenticated and really very, very well versed in the Holy Quran and the prophetic traditions. So, Hazrat Abbas radiyallahu anhu was brought here. Then Hazrat Farooq Azam said, "Oh my Allah, this is uncle of the Prophet. By virtue of him, please send down the rain." And rain was granted by Allah. So Bukhari shows that even if Farooq Azam was a very superior person to total ummah, yet he was believing that the acceptance of the prayer is more likely by the family member of the Holy Prophet. And that Tabut Sakina, Hazrat Abu Jafar, the book is Ruhul Maani. Under this very verse, Inna ayata mulkihi an ya'tiyakum tabut. Really the sign and symbol of his authenticated kingdom by Allah Rabbul Izzat is the restoration of that ark of Moses Islam. That is called ark. Otherwise, in the normal case, ark means chief. But here means the sanduk, ark of Moses. And that was used at the time of birth time of Moses alayhi salatu wasalam, when his mother was really very perturbed, very distressed, that she was expecting any person on behalf of a government to kill her son. Therefore, she was very worried. In the meanwhile, Gabriel came there and he provided with a box. And he suggested to the mother of Moses, whose name was Johannes, he suggested to Johannes to put her son in that box and throw it in the water. That was a box of birth of the Prophet, Miladun Nabi. Whenever they were in any trouble, they used to bring that box with them, Ark of Moses, and they asked the favor. They never came back defeated. They never had a failure. As long as that box was them, they were never defeated by any person by any army at any time of their life. But there were modern people. They said, "Oh, this is an old thing. This old type should not be exercised by us. We are modern people. We shall try to equalize with other people in the modernity. We don't want to be behind as compared with other people." Therefore, they threw it on the dust, and the enemy take it away. When the box was taken from them, all of the power was taken from them. And where there was a box, the power was also with that box. And unless that box was restored to them, the power could not be restored. It means that as long as the shoe of the pious people, the box of Miladun Nabi is with you, you are a powerful people, you are honorable people, you are prevailing people, you are successful people, you are conqueror. But when you lose the relics of the pious people, you would be deprived of bounties of Allah. When Allah Rabbul Izzat would like to restore the power of the Muslims, Hazrat Imam Mehdi radiyallahu ta'ala would be detailed to find out that box. When he finds that, Allah says, no, he is Mehdi. Meaning, he was provided with the proper guidance, because this is the way of success. The last and final question going to be solved would prove, would certify, would authenticate your belief. It will say that, oh Sunni people, you are very lucky person, because this is authentication to the truthfulness of your belief. You are orthodox. Orthodox means Sayyul Aqidah. Heterodox, Bad Aqidah. The other people are heterodox and you orthodox. And this would be certified by Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. And cause of nomination was also discovered. Why he is Mahdi Hatayat Yafta means he is a person provided with the proper guidance, because he found out the same box which was used on the birthday of Moses. Means birthday celebration is not a new thing. This is a great thing, which is a real source of success. Imam Mehdi was named as Mehdi because he would discover the lost box. And he would be provided with the proper guidance by Allah. And Mehdi means a person properly provided with the guidance. He is a real properly guided person by Allah. Therefore he is called Imam Mehdi. And this was mentioned here. That is cave of Antakya, where that box would be found from. And the same reference was quoted on the page number 81 about the Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. That he is Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman because he would find out the Tabut Sakina. Here, Naim an Sulaiman bin Isa, Kala Balagani Annahu Yad al Mehdi, Yadul Tabut Sakina, Mim Wahirat al Tabriya, Hatta Ya'mal Fayuz Bain Yadahe, Bayt al Maqdis. Means the lake which was dried at the time of birth of the Holy Prophet, that is called Buhairat Tabriya. There was a quake in the palace of Ctesiphon. Kasre Madain is called Ctesiphon in English. Ctesiphon. C is silent in the beginning of this one. This is pronounced as Ctesiphon. There was a shivering, quivering and quake in the palace of Ctesiphon, and the lake of Tabriya was dried. Hazrat Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman will go to find out the way, and that lake would be intervening between the cave and Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. With the same way, that lake would be dried, because it knows how to dry. Because at the time of birth of Muhammad Mustafa, it was dried. Now the lake knows that the son of that very family came here, I would have to die. They would be dried, and he would approach the cave of Antakya and find out the same ark of Moses. And since that ark was a real source of success for the previous communities, therefore it would be a source of success for Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Wherever he goes, he will conquer the society, and he would be called Imam Mehdi Akhir Zaman. Inshallah, the rest of the lecture, inshallah, for the next time. وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will come down and they will identify each other.
The name of my disciple is not found in the register of Al Jahannam.